Welcome everybody. I'm here to talk to you about week 6 of the Ayurveda journey. And as you could see, I'm home. I made it home, and it was a long few days of travel. And so it took me a while to make this recording, but I wanted to make sure I followed up on what we did in that last week of the Ayurveda healing. And the final treatments were all what Pradeep called finishing treatments. Treatments that are meant to continue to support. They are treatments to help close up the channels, to help support and strengthen. Basically, make it so that the body is contained and stable and strong. And it's so great because I have a really great example to talk to you about of what ended up happening and how I know it really worked. So the last week we were doing in the morning, we were doing still some of the basti, which is the dough basti, which is on specific areas where we had pain. My client had pain in his upper back, so he was getting focused attention on that. And it's specific oil to help support those tissues, strengthen those tissues. So relax, but strengthen. And the same thing for my SI joint. They were still doing that into that last week. And then we got to meet with the indigenous tribal healer. That was for 3 days in a row. And he did all of the closing of the tissues, closing of the channels, and finishing treatments. He doesn't speak English. And I found the treatments to be really interesting, and it was obvious that he was moving, because remember, we are not just physical. So he was moving not only the tissues down, but all of the subtle forces. So his movement of strokes, if you've ever been to a massage or if you know anything about massage therapy, I did sports medicine and I worked as a physical therapy tech for a while, and I did massage. And when you go against the muscle fibers, you're stimulating, you're opening up, you're breaking up. And so everything he did was going with the actual tissues, moving down. So he was literally, it was really interesting because like areas in my body where I have problems, he would move and shake and kind of vibrate the area, and then he would move it down. And it was physical. This guy is, I think, close to 70, and he's really strong. And I was like, ooh, especially my calves, right? Because, the calves get so tight, and moving down. And he did that for 3 days. And I felt really super grounded after those treatments. But I have to tell you, the journey to go see him was really interesting because he wasn't close. He wasn't in the little village where we were staying. And Pradeep had to actually have us go on his motorcycle to go see the tribal healer. So the days that I went, the first 2 days, it was raining and like a lot. So here I am, completely covered in a poncho, a plastic poncho, plus a rain jacket, plus a helmet. The hood of the poncho is on, rain jacket, the helmet is on, and I'm holding on for dear life on this motorcycle as it's torrential rain. It is just pouring, and we're heading to the hut. And I did post a picture of you guys. It literally, he made his office out of sticks, bamboo sticks, and various other types of local woods. They're like coconut trees and palm trees and adobe. Like the whole little hut was made out of sticks and adobe. And he had electricity and everything. So we went there in the rain, and really great experience. I mean, so much oil. He uses so much oil, but all the strokes are downward. So downward means finishing treatments, moving the subtle forces down. When people have an overstimulated mind, it means that the subtle forces are up. And they're called the vayus, by the way. So the subtle forces are up, overstimulated. This is why when we started this treatment program, the first thing he did was Shirdara, the oil on the forehead, because people come in, we are overstimulated in our mind. We overthink. People think that is how they're going to solve all their problems. They think that is how life is going to be good. And the truth is, all that thinking, and it's causing a lot of suffering. It's causing us to be in fear. It's causing us to have doubt. It is not serving us. The mind is a tool, and unless you are embodied, unless you are in the body, you can't use the mind properly. So they start out with calming the mind, and then they finish with moving everything down, 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 down. And like I said, areas where there was tension or problem areas or injuries, he did like a vibration, a shaking, and then moved everything down. They were really amazing treatments. I feel really so like lucky that I was able to go see this guy. I know that it is, like I said in my post, a once in a lifetime experience, because most people that are going to India for Ayurveda, they are not going to get that opportunity to meet with an indigenous tribal healer. They're just not going to get it. It's just not available in those clinics and hospitals. On that note, let's continue to talk about what else we did. So also at the very end, when Pradeep was working on us, our very first treatment with him, he just kind of needed to feel the body and see what was the communication that he was getting from the body. That is how intuitive this guy is. He is so gifted, and he is such a true healer that he can move his hands on your body and know exactly what's going on. And so he does that at the very end to kind of see, okay, what's going on with the body? How grounded is it? Is it doing everything it needs to do? And he did a final body treatment just to feel what was going on in the body. And that felt really amazing, really great. And we were finishing up with those type of treatments at the end, still having a morning treatment and still having rice therapy in the afternoon. Rice therapy went to the very end because remember, rice therapy is strengthening, stabilizing. It is one of the most important therapies, especially at the end, because it's what's going to help strengthen the body. Okay. And my client also, same. He had the 3 appointments with the tribal healer. He had all of those finishing treatments. And one of the other final treatments that we got was they did a cooling and calming treatment for the head, which I talked about it, where they put like the banana leaf and they put this stuff in your hair. And then after that, they did Shirodhara, but with milk and a special herb. And there was another thing that is in it, and it's cool. Like, it's not warm oil. And so you go in, and we were receiving that treatment in the mornings at the very end of the last week, and they stream that on your forehead. For my client, he really liked it. It because it's so cooling. So if you're a person that tends to be running hot, or you tend to be more hot-headed, you have a lot of heat going on in your body, it cools down the mind instantly. For me, it was a little too cooling. It actually like made the back of my head cold. And then I got like I started getting another earache because, it's raining all the time. And then we're doing these cooling treatments, these finishing treatments. And so that Shirodhara treatment, I asked Pradeep about it, and he only did that for me for 1 day because more than that would have taken me out of balance. So I only got 1 day of it, but I believe that my client got like 3 days of it. So, this is the thing about Ayurveda. It's so individualized. Like, he did not take these treatments and he's going to do the same thing for both of us. Yes, we did have some overlap, but he's not doing the same thing for both of us. He really just allowed things to unfold. And, you know, imbalance are showing up. They are showing up as we went through these weeks of treatments. And it was a really incredible journey. Then I wanted to tell you, our treatments ended. We were driven to the airport. We flew out of an airport, Kunnar is how it's spelled. I always pronounce it wrong. Kana is how they spell it or pronounce it, I think. And we flew out of that airport, and Bryce and I were just stared at the whole time because we were the only people there that were white. And we flew out of that airport, flew into Delhi, and we ended up having a whole day and night in Delhi because our flight back to the States did not leave until 3:55 in the morning. So we kind of, the way they do flights is kind of weird. So I had a whole day in Delhi, and Pradeep set me up, meeting up with one of his friends there, and she took me for 4 hours to adventure in Delhi. My client did not want to come along, which was kind of a bummer because I think he would have enjoyed it. We went to a monastery, like a monument that was built by a king in like 1000 BC. And that was interesting because I felt like a movie star because everywhere we went, people were asking to take a picture with me. And I'm like, well, I'm asking Pradeep's friend, I'm like, Sardinia is her name. I was like, why are they wanting to take a picture with me? She's like, because you're white. I'm like, okay. So I was the only white person there. So everywhere we went, people were wanting to take a picture with me. So I that was interesting. And then, you know, you'd be going along the highway, it'd be like a 4-lane road with 8 rows of cars and motorcycles and rickshaws and bicycles and motorbikes and everything all there. And then a cow in the middle of the highway, like in the city, they have a cow with giant horns. So that was interesting. But I wanted to tell you that, you know, the journey home is not easy. And the journey there is not easy. It is long. And on our way back, the first 2 flights were from Delhi to Amsterdam, and then we went Amsterdam into Minneapolis, and then we had a connecting flight to our home. And the Minneapolis airport radar went down. That means no flights could come in. So we had to touch down in Winnipeg, Canada. And I'm sharing this story with you because it directly is going to show you how my nervous system is completely different now. So we had a 3-hour layover, but we'd already lost an hour because our flight left late out of Delhi. We had 2 hours to spare. We had to catch that flight because my client had a doctor's appointment for his condition the very next morning, and it was important. He had to get that appointment. So we knew we needed to catch the Reno flight, but I was like, okay, you go. So when we finally got in the air, finally landed in Minneapolis, our Reno flight was delayed a little bit, but my client, he got off the plane and just booked it. He ran. Well, you have to go through customs, and then you have to go through security again. And so when he got to the security, the line was forever. And so fortunately there was a lady there. She said, go down the escalator, head to the left, go up the escalator, and just go through the general public security. It's only 5 minutes. So that's what he had done, and I was behind him, but I literally ran, and I barely made it. I got on the plane 1 minute before they closed the door, thankfully, because they would have added a whole nother day of travel to my traveling. I got on the plane, and I sat in my seat, and I calmed down, and I fell asleep. And then I realized, oh my God, my nervous system completely calmed down. This is why it's a big deal, you guys. I went to India for nerve pain, for a nerve damage from shingles, chronic shingles, which, you know, if you have chronic shingles, it's going to turn into nerve damage. You're going to end up with neuropathy. It's what's going to happen. And so I had that. And all of my nerve pain is gone. But I didn't know, like, before I went, everything disrupted my nervous system, even like positive things. My nervous system was so dysregulated from years and years and years of really hard life stuff. And, I just want to say that as we go through the world, we need to understand how we are impacting each other. Because the stuff that I had to go through that caused my nervous system to just get completely whacked was because of things that other people were doing that I didn't have a choice. So when somebody takes you to court, you got to go to court. That's what happens. And then I also had that whole episode with sepsis. And so my nervous system was a mess and I couldn't ever regulate it. And then I got on this plane and I freaking ran. I was sweaty. I sat down in my seat and I realized my nervous system regulated. I was completely calm and I fell asleep. Like this is the first time my nervous system has been regulated in 15 years. And I didn't even know how bad it was until I went through 6 weeks of treatment to realize I never really had a regulated nervous system. I meditated, I did all this stuff, but my nervous system could never reset. And it's such a big deal because when you have a healthy nervous system, that vagal response, that vagus nerve response, when you have a healthy nervous system, it means that if stress happens, life is going to have stress things happen. So stress happens, your body goes through it. So yes, it gets excited, it goes through it, and then it resets. That is a healthy nervous system. I haven't had that, and now I have it. And so I will tell you the journey there and everything I went through for that was worth it. Totally worth it. But I want to say to people, it is a long journey over. And if you're considering doing this extensive type of healing, and it does work, unless you have unlimited resources and you could do something like that here in the States, which I don't even know where you would go. Because most places that I've looked up, they're doing 2-week treatments, maybe a 21-day. You can try to look around. But we did 6 weeks. And when you're really dealing with deep, deep stuff that needs intense care, it's going to take 6 weeks. Or like the person that introduced me to Pradeep, he did 2.5 months. It really is going to require an extended amount of time where you are only focused on healing and you let your body heal. And my body, not only did I get those incredible treatments, and some of them were difficult, I had all that downtime. So all my body had to do was heal. That's it. It just was able to heal. And what a gift. What a gift. But I will tell you, if you just have minor stuff going on in your life, then I would try to find a program here in the States. Yes, it's going to be a lot more costly, but you can work through me. You can try to find some place where, if you're not local here near me, where you can do a 21-day program and you will get some good results from that. But it needs to be your everyday thing for 21 days. If you really want to be serious about healing your body. The other thing too that I will tell you is your diet absolutely has to be very super simple and focused while you're going through healing, because you want your body to focus on healing and not digesting. And so I didn't realize it until I got there that I did have some digestive issues in the lower abdomen. And by the end, all of that completely resolved because we were eating so simple. Okay, one other thing I want to add, because this was such an aha moment for me. I was telling Pradeep, I said, in the West, like when people go through Ayurveda training, they're mostly doing like Ayurveda counselor or Ayurveda consultation. And I know people that just only want to focus on consultations. And he was saying, but that's not how you're really going to help people. And if you're dealing with somebody who has some serious stuff, the diet and the lifestyle, it's the benefit is there, but the amount of time being on that diet and being in that new lifestyle that it would take to really turn things around is years. He said, unless you get people and remove the toxins and get people balanced, the diet isn't going to have that much of an impact. Said he's like, all the people that are only focused on change your diet, change your lifestyle. It was so eye-opening for me because, you know, those things are important because you got out of balance because of your diet and your lifestyle most of the time. And then you had stressful life events and things that happen. That's how you got out of balance. And so to go back into balance, you do want to balance those things. You do want to be in alignment with whatever your constitution is and your particular dosha, and you get your diet right and you get your lifestyle right to support you. But unless you go through some sort of a healing program, which is called Panchakarma, unless you go through something like that, the impact is not going to be that significant. So I would encourage you, if you're really serious about healing, get yourself aligned with some sort of a Panchakarma program, get involved in it, and do it for yourself. Invest in you, do it, because that is how you're really going to eliminate future illnesses, diseases, and problems. And some of the problems are serious. Like my nerve damage in the West, they were telling me, you're going to have nerve damage for the rest of your life. Sorry, it's permanent. When I went to India, they're like, no, it's not. Of course it can turn around. And it did. It got turned around. So, you know, tissues are tissues and tissues can heal. And you just have to create, you have to be in the right environment, and you have to do the right treatments to help the body heal and support the body in healing. And that is the truth. So I just wanted to give you guys all of that information so that you know how that week 6 went. And it was fabulous, and the journey home was hard, but I really had that aha moment of, oh my God, it worked. And so thank you guys for following along, and I will follow up and do another video when we hit about a month after treatment. So you'll be hearing from me in a few weeks. I'll still be doing some Ayurveda posts every week, but as far as like this journey, you will hear from me in about 3 weeks. And then next week, I will be doing my post on my client and his entire journey through these last 6 weeks. Okay, thank you so much for being here once again. Thank you for following along. So looking forward to supporting all of you with Ayurveda. Please reach out if you do want that support. And if you are interested in going to India, I'm going to be taking a group of people to India for healing, working with this Ayurveda healer, hopefully at the end of next year. So reach out. All right, peace.